Thank you for joining me, guys. Thank you for, again, being here so early in the morning. I guess this is early for a live stream, though there are some YouTubers that are on earlier than this. But again, thank you for joining me. Matter of fact, last night after the live stream, there's a YouTuber, Sasquatch in Space, and he plays the saxophone. Or it's Sasquatch in Space, or something like that. I happened to be watching that last night. I'm not sure. It came on right after my live stream. I'm like, what is this? Sasquatch in Space? So I click on it and I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. It's a dude dressed up like Sasquatch playing a saxophone. Anyway, Mr. Landfill, thank you for the 5x5. Coffee First, Ozark Prepper. Teresa, Love and Life, thank you for the 5x5. Nick, Incognito, Dina, 1 second after, thank you for the 5x5. So, yeah, I was a little intrigued by the whole Sasquatch thing. I was actually watching this live stream for probably about an hour. I just let the music play and I was cleaning the kitchen, which fucking took forever. But yeah, very interesting. It's just amazing the different channels that are out there and what people will do on the internet. It's just it's pretty interesting. Anyway, Carbon Q, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. So, anyway, enough of that Sasquatch nonsense. So, we're going to do an update on a story I talked about last Wednesday. This was the photographer, Anna Kobayashi, the one who went missing and has her family members looking for her and all this other stuff. So, update on her story is they found video footage of her entering Mexico on foot. I forgot at which point, but it was in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. So, keep in mind, this is the young lady who went missing probably about a month ago now, and she was supposed to go to New York. She stopped in LA and then started sending out weird text message to her family member, and she never made it to New York, and then she just wind up disappearing. She made it back to the LAX, but as the police say, according to the video, she intentionally missed her flight. So now it's no longer kidnap or trafficking. They're trying to figure out why she missed her flight now. Now, because she's voluntarily missing, as the police are putting it, I could see them within the next couple of days giving up on the case. Now, the father who went looking for her last week or 2 weeks ago now, maybe, wound up dead at a parking lot structure, and the official finding is it was suicide. Keep in mind, there's no video of this man tossing himself off the building. Anyway, this update now is missing photographer Anna Kobayashi spotted buying a bus ticket day before police said she crossed into Mexico, excuse me. Matter of fact, here's the link. So you guys can, Dan Phillips, thank you for the 5x5. Yes, that's Anna Kobayashi, Johnny 308. The father, they say, killed himself. I'm not buying that. All right, so I wasn't buying it. There is a side of me that thinks maybe he ran into her at some point, and then she said whatever she said to him, and then he threw himself off the parking structure. Or he ran into... listen, the killing himself thing, unless there's video of him doing it, I'm not buying it. But there is one or two reasons why he might, but we'll see. Anyway, shocking surveillance footage shows Anna Kobayashi buying a bus ticket to the southern border the day before police stated she crossed over through the tunnel in Mexico. And this was on foot, by the way. So she bought a bus ticket, but then wind up crossing over into Mexico on foot, according to video footage. The footage shows Kobayashi wearing a sweatsuit and purchased a ticket with cash at LA's Union Station on November 11th, according to a still obtained by Fox 11 Los Angeles. She also appears to have her passport and luggage with her at the ticket counter. Kobayashi is believed to have reached the San Isidro border crossing, where she entered Mexico on November 12th. This is according to Los Angeles Police Chief Jim McDonald. The image comes as the aspiring photographer's disappearance took a curious turn after Los Angeles police declared the 30-year-old a voluntary missing person and said she's willing to cross into Mexico to step away from modern connectivity. And somewhere in not this article, the article I read, they stated, or she stated, she wanted to get away from connectivity. But she could have gone to fucking Colorado or the mountains in California to get away from connectivity. But anyway, McDonald, the LA police chief, said investigators reviewed various footages and interviewed multiple witnesses who confirmed Kobayashi's movements from when she landed in the Golden State on November 8th to when she was last seen crossing into Mexico November 12th. We've basically done everything we can do at this point. They're going to pull the plug on us, McDonald said, citing U.S. Customs and Border Protection surveillance showing Kobayashi crossing into Mexico November 12th. She's left the country and in another nation now, McDonald said. Investigation would not continue into Mexico, but urged the public to come forward with any credible information on her whereabouts. Kobayashi went missing November 8th after catching a flight from Hawaii to Los Angeles with a connecting flight that would ultimately take her to New York, where she planned to visit a relative. That was her aunt. After landing in LAX, she sent cryptic text messages to friends shortly before her disappearance, including one saying she had a very intense spiritual awakening and other claiming deep hackers wiped my identity. She could have had a psychosis break. She is at the age of that. There is I forgot what it's called, but there is a psychosis break where it normally happens in women around their late to early 30s. There is that. So I also kept that in the back of my head. There was a movie with Richard Gere, and that's when I first heard about that psychological issue. That it comes out of nowhere. It's like you go to sleep one day, and this is in women, not men. You go to bed one day and you wake up and you're a completely different person. So this could be the case. She could have got on that plane, woke up from a slumber, and said, fuck it, and just wandered off. Because her movements are not making sense according to the police. This is a lot. Too strong today. Anyway. Let's see. Where the hell are we? All right. However, McDonald said investigators found video evidence that clearly shows Hannah at LAX appearing unharmed after arriving from Maui November 11th. For unknown reasons, she decided not to board her pre-scheduled flight to New York. The LA police commissioner revealed that his department's investigation found no evidence of Kobayashi was being trafficked or involved in any criminal activity. She has the right to her privacy, McDonald continued, and we respect her choice, but we also understand the concern her loved ones feel for her. A simple message could reassure those who care about her. Though, her reaching out to her family right now would just probably piss them off, because the father is passed away and the father went looking for her and he wound up tossing himself off a building, if that is the case. Again, there's multiple explanations as to why he could have offed himself. Lieutenant Douglas Oldfield, who works in the department's missing person unit, said Kobayashi's social media activity also led him to believe she wanted to disconnect from modern world. By looking at her past social media, we then saw indications that there were some dire or posts that would be consistent with somebody who would have the desire to disconnect from their phone. Oldfield also shared that the video showed her in San Isidro and entering Mexico through the border crossing tunnel in Baja, California. Baja is a tourist destination for surfers, soul travelers, and psychedelic retreat. Interesting. But has been a gateway for organized crime, violence, drug kidnapping, and murder, particularly in Tijuana, the biggest border city in Mexico. I don't know why I keep saying New Mexico. However, Kobayashi's family insists the search for her is far from over, despite declarations on Tuesday that she was considered voluntarily missing. So anyway, that's the update on the girl who ran away, pretty much. And I tell you this much, she ran away. I could see her family never talking to her again. Because again, all of this, she's pretty much irresponsible. And though people like, she's a grown woman, she could do what you want, when you have family, that is a lame excuse. That doesn't work. If you have family and you know that your family's going to worry about you, you give them a heads up. Hey, listen, I'm going to go off grid for a while. I'll contact you in the next couple of weeks. Done. But now she has and she probably doesn't even know about her father, or maybe she does, because I refuse to believe that she's not watching the news during this whole fiasco. Though a lot of this, if she left into Mexico November 8th and she's there now, maybe the news is not covering her, or she's not watching the news down there and the news is not covering her down there. There's that. But when she comes back, and if she does, she's going to have a lot of explaining to do, and a lot of people are going to be pissed at her. Anyway, moving right along, next story. South Korea declares martial law. I meant to read this last night, but I didn't. And the reason why I'm reading it, because there's some tidbit of information as to why it went there and then why it wound up being reversed. South Korean president declared emergency martial law citing North Korea threats and domestic anti-state forces in a televised address to the nation, which he did early in the mornings over there, which no one really knows why he did that. Yoon Suk-yeol vowed to eradicate pro-North Korean forces and protect the constitutional democratic order. I didn't know, it makes sense though, but I didn't think that South Korea would have pro-North Korean forces there. It does make some sort of sense because there's always a group of assholes hanging out somewhere. But that pro-group had to have been placed there by Kim Jong-un himself, the North Korean president, and they're being paid maybe to do this, because I don't know anybody that would want to live under the ruling of a shitbag in North Korea. But anyway, back to the story. He said that the opposition's impeachment attempt and budget cuts had paralyzed the government, but promised swift action to rebuild and protect the country. Martial law normally means government by military rule and suspension of parliament and ordinary laws. South Korean military has said preliminary activities are banned and is understood to have blocked the entrances to the National Assembly. Videos have shown riot police pushing people back from entrances to the Parliament building in Seoul. The surprise declaration comes as Yoon's People Power Party, mouthful, and the main opposition Democratic Party continue to bicker over the next year's budget. Knee-jerk reaction. That was a knee-jerk reaction for him to institute martial law. Last week, opposition MPs last week approved a significantly downsized budget plan through a preliminary committee. Our nation's assembly has become a haven for criminals, a den for legislative dictatorship, to seek to paralyze the judicial and administrative system and overturn our liberal democratic order. This is coming from Mr. Yoon. The president accused opposition lawmakers of cutting all key budgets essential to the nation's core function, such as combating drug crime, and maintaining public security. This sounds like gangster shit. For them to fight against this, I mean. Turning the country into a drug haven and a state of... This sounds like the Democratic Party here. No shit. This is the same thing that the Democratic Party has done in cities like New York. Lessening crime and or taking focus away from drug activities, and now you see what's going on. He went on to describe the opposition, which holds a majority in the 300-member parliament, as anti-state forces intent to overthrow the regime, and said his martial law decision was inevitable. I will restore the country to normalcy by getting rid of anti-state forces as soon as I possibly can. The president also dismissed calls for independent investigation into several scandals involving his wife. Wow, they're going hard on him. I think South Korea is going to be overthrown. And then and by the way, he reversed a few hours later, not even like a day later, a few hours later, he reversed the martial law. He was under heavy scrutiny from his own party and the Democratic Party there to reverse the martial law, and he wound up doing so. One allegation was that he and Kim Keon, the First Lady, his wife, exerted inappropriate influence on a selection of a People Power Party by-election candidate in 2022. Another involved a spy camera footage that purportedly showed the First Lady accepting a luxury Dior bag as a gift from a pastor. Martial law is typically brought in after emergencies such as a foreign invasion or a natural disaster. It is not the first time it has been declared in South Korea, which alternate between liberal democracy and military dictatorship throughout the second half of the 20th century. The measure was imposed after a coup d'etat attempt in the 1960s and 70s, as well as in response to the student protests in 1964 and 1979. It was also brought in after the assassination of Park Chung-hee, the president, in 1979. There's a lot going on in South Korea, but I could see them pushing out Yoon in the next couple of days. I wouldn't even say weeks. If the party is overwhelmingly, if they're the majority in the House there, I could see them kicking him out. And the fact that they're using something so minor, like her receiving a bag from a pastor, his wife that is, that means they're going after this guy every which way they can. So this is definitely, it sounds like bullshit. Right, thank you, Johnny 308. That's exactly what it is. It's bullshit. I've never seen such hogwash. Yes, I use that word, hogwash. Been looking to use that word. But anyway, it's nonsense. I've never seen over a bag. But then his knee-jerk reaction to throw in the martial law, what I think he was going to do was throw the country in the martial law and then take the anti-state forces out by force. I could see him doing that. Wow, my chat is not matching up for the first time. It's not making sense. What I'm seeing on the app, I'm not seeing here. Interesting. Anyway, YouTube's acting up again. Or my app is acting up. I haven't decided. But Johnny 308's comment on my app here said, I can see, sounds about right. A bunch of stupid shit over a woman's purse. But it's not here. Very strange. Anyway. All right, guys. So last story. This is not the most important story, but this is definitely an important story to you fat fucks, including myself. All right, belly fat linked to signs of Alzheimer's 20 years before symptoms even begin. I'm putting this story in the chat as well, so the fat fucks of the world can read this for themselves. This pretty much, guys, right after this I read this story, I downgraded. I lessened malarkey. Nice one. Mr. Landfill, I am set for the live chat. On my app, I can see every message, or every message on here, but I can't see it on here. Like, I can see the chat. I can see everybody else's chat, but Johnny 308's chat, he says, told you YouTube deletes a lot of my comments. Yeah, but you're in the chat. You're not in the comment section now. Like, that's what I don't understand. But when the mods delete when the mods delete certain comments, I can still see it in the app. Right? So it doesn't disappear in the app. But Johnny 308's comment didn't appear on here, but it appeared on this. Very strange, that's all. Coffee First said my chat was all screwed too. No shit. It was missing comments. Alright. Coffee First, you have a YouTube channel? Would make sense if you did. Alright. Alright, enough of that tomfoolery. Anyway, so as the size of a person's belly grows, the memory center of the brain shrinks, and beta amyloid and tau, all right, may appear. Now, tau is a protein, if I'm not mistaken, or a plaque, rather, excuse me. So beta amyloid is one of the plaques as well, and then tau tangles is another one. We're going to get into it. All of this occurs as early as the person's 40s or 50s, well before cognitive decline is apparent. Both beta amyloid plaque and tau tangles are early signs of the brain's march towards a possible Alzheimer's disease diagnosis. Amyloid plaque typically appears first, with tau tangles arriving later as the disease progresses on. Let's see. More amyloid or tau you have in the brain, the sicker the brain becomes. This is senior study author Dr. Cyrus Raji, associate professor of radiology at Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis. It's a fucking mouthful, these people and their titles. Jesus. The way we can track a sicker looking brain is lower blood flow. We also saw brain atrophy, oh my God, brain atrophy, or a wasting of gray matter, no shit, in a part of the brain's memory center called the hippocampus. Less blood flow in the memory center of the brain may cause shrinkage, another key biomarker for Alzheimer's, said preventive neurologist Dr. Richard Isaacson, director of research. All right, whatever, who gives a fuck where he works? Since the study found these relationships decades before cognitive decline and expected diagnosis, having laser-sharp focus on reducing belly fat can be one of the most powerful tools to fight this terrible disease. Obesity is a worldwide epidemic, according to the World Health Organization, which estimates more than half the world will be overweight or obese within the next 10 years. In the United States alone, the estimate is nearly 260 million Americans will be overweight or obese by 2050 unless policymakers take action. There we go. There it goes. There goes the World Health Organization and who's bullshit. They need policymakers to make sure we don't gain weight. That is not up to them. If I want to be a fat fucking die of Alzheimer's, I should be up to that. I don't want to die of Alzheimer's. I really don't. But I'm just saying that that's up to me if I want to sugar my way into forgetting my past. That should be up to me. Policymakers mean, guys, that the World Health Organ, and this is the World Health Organization making this assumption, or claim, rather, making this claim, stating that if they don't step in, policymakers or politicians don't step in, we're all going to be fat. I don't want to be fat anymore. I'm tired. Tired of being fat. I'm sick and tired of being fat. But, you know, it's funny, like, so, even with me, I have a larger percentage of muscle. With that, doctors will still say I'm overweight. They're like, listen, you fat fuck, even though you have muscles, but you have body fat too, you still need to lose weight so that you don't X, Y, and Z. They also said that if I didn't lose the weight, I would my heart would be working harder and I would develop heart disease. Whatever. Conservatively, obesity as a risk factor for dementia affects at least 1% of American adults, so that means over 2 million individuals could have dementia from Alzheimer's disease, attributing to their obesity. To their obesity. It is a big It's a big public health issue. We're trying to understand how obesity at midlife in the 40s and 50s is a risk factor for Alzheimer's disease, which doesn't usually appear symptomatically until 60s, 70s, and 80s. I am all but guaranteed to get this shit in the next couple of years. I would say probably in my late 50s, early 60s. Visceral fat is the key. A pilot study by Raji and his team released in November 2023 last year found that a type of deep abdominal fat called visceral was linked to inflammation and amyloid buildup in the brain of 32 men and in women in their 40s. 32 men and women in their 40s and 50s. Wow. At this point in the research, the presence of tau was not confirmed. How would they? Because for them to see that on the brain, I guess a brain scan or an actual brain biopsy. Anyway, visceral fat wraps itself around major organs of the body and is completely different from the subcutaneous fat from the rest of the body. Subcutaneous fat typically makes up 90% of the body's fat. That's the fat right underneath your skin, the fat that makes you look fat, if that makes sense. Visceral fat, you can't see. There are people who have visceral fat, but they have that skinny fat. I hate that term. That skinny fat look, that schlup look. They'll have visceral fat without it being seen and no subcutaneous fat, if that makes sense. You see those people, the people with the sloth body, all sluggish and shit, but they don't look fat, but you can tell that if they worked out a little bit, they'd be in shape, so they just look out of shape is what it is. You can still have visceral fat without looking fat. All right. I should have just said that from the beginning. Most of the person's body mass index, BMI, reflects subcutaneous fat. Right, not visceral fat. So we measure visceral fat using abdominal MRI, and we have a specialized computer program that can measure the actual volume of visceral fat, adipose tissue. The study also uses gold standard amyloid positron emission. Jesus, they're getting into shit I can't even pronounce. Emission and tomography or PET scan to verify the presence of amyloid and or tau in the brain of the study participant, and magnetic resonance imaging, MRI. Did I say Renaissance? I didn't mean to say that. Excuse me. To measure the levels of visceral fat. Okay, so that makes sense. The PET scan on the brain makes sense. I'm like, how the hell do they see that without cutting into the brain? Excuse me. More visceral fat one has, the more inflammation happens in the body, and it's much worse in truth than the inflammation that occurs with the subcutaneous fat. So visceral fat is more damaging than subcutaneous fat. I think a lot of us knew that. Visceral fat receives more blood flow due to its placement near the organ, and it's more hormonal active than subcutaneous fat. Visceral fat is also harder to get rid of. The fat prepper. Yeah, I guess, right? I should change my fucking title to the fat prepper or the fat ass prepper. Anyway, we looked at insulin resistance via fasting plasma insulin levels and glucose tolerance tests and found that most abnormally high insulin has seen in people with higher amounts of visceral fat. Visceral fat is the enemy, pretty much. The study also found a relationship between deep belly fat and brain atrophy or wasting of gray matter in a part of the brain memory center called the hippocampus. Atrophy is another biomarker in the Alzheimer's disease. Now, they talked about when does the tidal tangle identify for the first time. They said the study has continued, adding that an additional 48 participants make a total of 80. The average age for those in the study was 49, but the average BMI of 32. Wow. A BMI over 30 is considered to be obese. Whoa. That's up there. So, again, how to fight visceral fat. This is the important part here. Ways to fight visceral fat. There are smart ways to reduce belly fat that can reverse this trend. Isaacson said, first, don't focus on body weight, but focus on body composition. Now, lifting weights and walking are the two ways you're going to get rid of this fat the fastest. If you fast, meaning you work out before you eat, you're going to get rid of a lot of body fat a lot faster. So if you go on your first morning walk, or you lift weights first before you eat, you will be burning through fat a lot quicker. You'll build muscle by lifting weights, you'll burn fat. You'll burn more calories walking, you'll burn fat walking. You do this before you eat, and you do this at the end of the night, walking. Your last meal, you eat whatever it is, and then you go for another walk. So you'll essentially be walking, you'll be working out almost 3 times a day. Now, try not to look at walking as a workout. Look at your workout as a workout. But walking is also a form of working out, if that made sense. Anyway, this can be done easily at home by using biometric scale, or you can monitor the use of the annual DEXA scan ordered by healthcare providers. This scan also commonly used to track your bone density as we age. Now, there's a lot of things, guys, you can request your medical physician to fill out. There are tests that you can get done, like the DEXA test or scan. There are body scans that will weigh your body and give you your true weight of how much you weigh and how much fat you have in the body, and that's what you would focus on to lose. You can go to your doctor and get this shit filled out, and they will fill it out for you. Some doctors will give you fucking a hard time. Fuck them. Just do it anyway. Don't sit there and listen to these doctors and they're like, well, why do you need that? Just fill it out, doc. If you have to ask me why I need a certain test or why I want a certain test done, then you're not my doctor. And then you go to another doctor. But if the doctor's giving you a hard time, just say, okay, thank you, and move to the next one. The doctor will fill out this prescription and or order you a test if you request it. And they're supposed to. They're not supposed to give you they're not supposed to sit there hemming and hawing. They're supposed to tell you, okay, that's all that comes out of their mouth. Your insurance, on the other hand, that's a different story. So to more efficiently get into fat burning, made and lose body fat over time, I suggest taking a brisk walk at a steady pace, working up to at least 45 to 60 minutes 2-3 times a week. I would say do it 2 times a day, 3 to 4 times a week. You're going to see a difference by the end of the week. If you add in some weightlifting in there, weightlift 3 times a week. And don't lift heavy if you can't. Just lift what you can. Your body is going to thank you in the long run. Anyway, you want to follow what experts call Zone 2 training, which can be tracked using a simple method, being able to carry a conversation while you exercise, but just barely. They call that Zone 2 training. That's like panting and shit. Laying on the floor and almost dying is like Zone 3. But I never got why they call it Zone 1, 2, and 3. It's beyond me. It's actually stupid. Walking fast on a treadmill at a slight incline or walking with a weighted vest are ways to getting into the fat burning zone more quickly. I have a weighted vest on the Angry Prepper Fitness channel. I will show you the weighted vest, how I wear it, and what I do with the vest. Actually, I might do that video before the end of the year so people can get an idea where to go and how to start. Now, for most ladies, you will not need a weighted vest. Most ladies just go for a walk and go for a nice fast walk. I use my watch, my Apple Watch. If my heartbeat is over 90, I'm at a good pace, and anywhere between 90 beats per minute to 140 beats per minute is where I keep it between. I have reached 145 when I walk up these fucking hills that look like they're going to kill me. Nonetheless, that's the zone you want to be. And anything over 90, that's getting your heart to move a little more, is work a little more, sorry. So definitely, guys, take heed to this last part of ways to get rid of visceral fat. Kettlebell work is not bad either. I was going to actually do that after this live stream. I was going to do a full body workout. Again, getting over the 90 beats per minute, it gets me into the 120 zone. Anyway, let me finish this out. Tracking and building muscle mass is key as well. The more muscles a person has, the higher their metabolism and the better they can burn fat. This is why I said add weightlifting in there 3 to 4 times a week as well. Your muscle mass is low. Try strength training for at least 30 minutes twice a week or more, but be sure to eat adequate amount of protein intake throughout the day. So again, kettlebell work is also good because it brings up your heart rate and it builds muscle. And kettlebell is strength. You can do kettlebell work. You are hitting both targets. You're hitting cardio and you're building muscle. So anyway, on the treadmill right now. So if you're looking to get visceral fat, guys, this is a way. I will do a video on the Angry Prepper Fitness channel, and I might even do a live stream. Though I don't know if a live stream's warranted, unless I talk about shit like this. Maybe I'll do an Angry Prepper Fit. I'll do one live stream and see how that goes. But and then we'll talk about shit like this directly. We'll talk about vitamins to take and things like that. Matter of fact, I'll do one this month and I'll do another one next month. And we'll do a live stream and talk about setting everything up for your weight loss journey next month, which is January. So that's not a bad idea. Let's see if I can set something up. I just need a day. I don't know when's a good day to do it. I don't know if Wednesday is also a good day to do it in the afternoon. I might do it. Let's see. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to try it. On the Angry Prepper Fitness channel, I'm going to do a live stream today. And we'll talk about the weight loss journey. Or should I do it closer to... I don't fucking know. We'll do a test run and see what it looks like. That's what we'll do. Upload more rucks. I am going to upload more rucking videos, that's for sure. More weighted workouts. I'm clearing out a section of my apartment right now, right behind me. That's going to be the workout section. I should have that cleared up by next month. Actually, by next week. Everything should be thrown out, and I could use that area to work out in. I missed the ruck walks around town. Johnny 308, what do you mean, when I was walking to work or when I was doing my Angry Prepper Fitness video? Loretta said I'll count. All right, so I'll set it up and I'll see. I'll set up the Angry Prepper Fitness live stream, and we'll talk about weight loss journey in that live stream. I'll do it about noon, 1 o'clock. Noon, 1 o'clock. I don't fucking know. I'm going to post it, and then you guys will see. Other than that, guys, thank you for joining me. I'm going to go off the air now, start setting up the Angry Prepper Fitness, and yeah, I'll see you guys then. Thank you.